Good dawning, great rising, Cleveland, Ohio, and the rest of the world. In the words of the inimitable Dr. Quad David Whitaker, what you do for yourself depends on what you think of yourself. What you think of yourself depends on what you know of yourself, and what you know of yourself depends on what you have been told. It's a great day in Cleveland. We got a bit of sunshine out there, crisp, cool temperatures, but hey, winter started early as we found out yesterday. We woke up and saw snow on the ground. We have a great show for you today. We have someone who is making waves on an international way, bringing attention to the city of Cleveland and the Cuyahoga County, or the county of Cuyahoga, however you want to put it. And we're going to be talking with her in just a few moments. But first, just need to let you know about a few things that are going on. This evening at Larchmere Arts, we're going to be doing a photo session for those who are going to be in the Black Local Artists of Cleveland Kuumba directory. It is a directory that is in all 27 Cleveland Library branches, and we're looking at doing this as like a coffee table book. And we want to feature up to 80 artists in this community. So if you identify as an artist, you can come by Larchmere Arts this evening. We're inviting you to come by to get your photograph taken. We'll also need to get a biography from you so that we can put that in print along with your photograph. So tonight at Larchmere Arts, 12726 Larchmere Boulevard, somewhere around 5 o'clock, we invite you to come by and just enjoy yourself for a few, and then we'll get that photo session started momentarily. Also, just want to give you an update on the ARPA funds for artists. I have received word that the stipends are being issued right now, so you will have received an email or some type of communication from the Assembly for the Arts, and they are feverishly working on getting those funds out to individual artists. There have been over 400 folks who will be receiving funds, and predominantly those folks are on the east side of Cleveland. So brothers and sisters, you were definitely included in this round of compensation relief for folks who experienced hardships during the pandemic. I know I did see on Facebook that Vanessa Rubin received her communication, and others have called me to let me know that they've been communicated with. So the funds are on the way, and we're doing some other things to enhance support for artist opportunities, and we will keep you up to date on those things. So with that being said, I'd like to welcome to 360 Info Network. Her name is Doxy Jelks, and I'm just going to give you a little bit background. There are over 15,000 realtors in Cleveland, and the executive producer of a show, a national show about real estate and lifestyles called Cleveland, and visited Cleveland lately. He met with only the top producers in the market, and Doxy Jelks was invited. Ultimately, they chose a cast of realtors to be the voice of Cleveland neighborhoods and the real estate market, and yes, Doxy Jelks is one of them. She has a few other notable things that we want to talk about, and she has been a guest on our show in the past. I am very happy and very pleased to welcome back to 360 Info Network, Doxy Jelks. Doxy, how you doing today?
Thank you. I'm doing great on this cold Saturday morning.
Yeah, well, you know, Cleveland gets us every year. You know, we get snow in October, and winter doesn't start until December, but I guess the calendar doesn't mind about that. You are doing some huge things. I looked at the bio, the information that you have, so I wanted to talk to you about how you ended up getting this show. And then we're going to dive into the weeds about the real estate market right now and some other things that people should know about. But tell us how it was that you just happened to wake up one morning and find yourself on the silver screen in folks' living rooms.
Okay, this is what happens because everybody asks me. First, let me start off by saying I am not one to do like a lot of video on social media. Everyone says you got to do video, you know, blah, blah, blah. And I'm a very private and shy person, believe it or not. A lot of people say, how can you be shy and you're meeting with customers all the time and everything? But I am, so I don't like to be in front of the camera. So this is completely new to me. So what happened was I received an email, and we get hundreds of emails every day. So fortunately, I didn't trash this email. So it said, this is American Dream TV. We're doing a new show called Selling Cleveland, and you have been recommended to us, blah, blah, blah. And this is where it got me. It said, so meet us at the Ritz Hotel, the Ritz-Carlton, on this day, this time, room so-and-so, so we can tell you more about the show. And I'm like, oh, no, you're not getting me in a room, getting down there. I don't know who these people are. But I took a chance. I told my family where I was going in case something happened to me. So I went down there, and there were other realtors in the room, and realtors that I knew, too. So I felt comfortable. So they did the pitch to us about what they wanted to do, how it was not going to be typical, like a reality show. It's not fake, focused on positivity and stories about our neighborhood. And that's what got me when they talked about stories about our neighborhood, because I know everyone knows about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and other stuff, around the city. But when they said our neighborhood, I'm like, so you mean I can do what I want and feature what I want? And they said yes, basically. I have to run it by the producers, but I pretty much have good control over my content. So that's what got me, because if I didn't do it, I knew none of the other people in the room probably would be featuring it on my neighborhood, our neighborhood. So I said, this is something that I have to do. I have to break out of this shell, even though I don't like being in the spotlight. I have to do it for our community. So that's what happened.
Okay. So it sounds like a wonderful thing, and I'm really excited to hear that you have a role in determining what the content is, because that's always important. You can actually play a role in how people see Cleveland. Just yesterday, I did a performance at the Cleveland Hopkins International Airport, and folks were on their way out of Cleveland, and some were probably on their way back home, and some of them were probably leaving Cleveland to get somewhere else. But I'm just thinking about the impression that folks had when they walked by and they heard the music and it moved them and they felt it, and it was such a great thing. I see you being in a similar position in that you can show folks a side of Cleveland and the Cleveland area that they probably haven't seen before. Talk to us about where this show is being shown.
Well, you are right with it being, if you have cable TV or if you can stream, you can see this show. I will know more about where Selling Cleveland will be featured in the next week or so, because our first segment will be in December. But I definitely can get it on Roku, because I've already have my TV set up now, and you can go to American Dream TV, download Roku, and you can see some of the previous episodes from people out in California and other communities, because that's where it started out in California, like everything does, and now it's here in the Midwest. But if you can stream, you can get this show. It's going to be available.
So Amazon Fire, Apple TV, Roku,
yes,
social media, all of that is going to put it out there, and it's just going to propel you into the stratosphere, and then your account book is going to just widen up, and everybody's going to be coming to you to get that house, right?
Well, that would be nice. It's not the goal, but that would be a nice benefit from it, yes.
Okay. So now that everybody knows the name of the show, because I see from your Facebook post it says you're the host of Selling Cleveland. Is that the name of the show?
Well, all of the shows start out American Dream. You have the American Dream Selling California. You have the American Dream Selling Atlanta, the American Dream Selling in whatever your city is. So ours is going to be the American Dream Selling Cleveland.
Okay. And we're going to talk about the content in this show, but you've seen the show before, obviously. So what kinds of things have you seen others doing?
Oh, they do ridiculous things that I am not going to do. Like this one man jumped out of an airplane in his city. You have people on boats out in the water. It depends on what your city is about. We had one man in Arizona. He was out there with the cacti showing back, because that's the Arizona vibe, So you kind of have to go with whatever the vibe is of your city, and then you can get, segments off of that.
Okay. And how does it connect to real estate?
They want it to be lifestyle, culture, and a little bit of real estate. So what they don't want is, okay, this is a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom house in Shaker Heights selling for $225. That's not the type of show they want. So if there's a house that fits my segment, then I can show the house and show what it's about. I personally am not considered, I am considered a lifestyle and real estate host. So I'm not on in my realtor hat, but I do bring on Lisa Gaines, who is my business partner, as the real estate expert, and she can talk about things in the neighborhood. So if I'm doing something on, I don't know, if we were at the airport, if we were doing your thing that you just did, if we were featuring that, then I might show some housing near the airport, maybe something unique about the house near the airport or something like that. So it's not a lot of real estate. It's mainly lifestyle, culture, a little bit of real estate.
So in relation to the name of the show, what you really are doing is selling Cleveland and dispelling the notion that Cleveland is just a terrible place to be.
Absolutely, because it's not. Yes, that's what I'm doing.
Yes.
And I need the help of everyone to help me with that, with ideas, with content, to let me know what they think would be good for the show. And then, I run it by my producers, and if it works, we can get it out there.
Okay. So this is the opportunity for those of you who are listening to get involved, and you can reach out to Doxy and perhaps present her with some ideas on what you might want to see in the show. So how can folks reach you if they're interested in doing that?
Okay, well, I'm on Instagram at Doxy Jelks Real Estate. I'm on Facebook at Doxy Jelks Real Estate, or my email is doxyjelks@kw.com. If you want to call me the good old-fashioned way, 216-470-3492. You can find me everywhere.
Okay. Well, we're going to put that stuff on our Facebook page, and we'll put it on the podcast that goes up to YouTube after we finish doing this broadcast. So folks will have a way to reach out to you. And just in case you don't know, she spells her name D-O-X-I-E. That's D-O-X-I-E. The last name is spelled J-E-L-K-S. Doxy Jelks. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing this show, because there's so much that you can shine a spotlight on in Cleveland. Last week before, I went out exploring on the west side, and I ended up in the Rocky River Reservation of the Cleveland Metro Parks. Almost 40 years in Cleveland, and I had never seen that. And of course, there's really nice real estate on that side of town too. So it's like a whole different world. And unless you cross 77 or cross the Detroit Superior Bridge, you don't get to see those kinds of things. A lot of development going on in Cleveland, and a lot of great architecture and real estate. So you'll be shining the spotlight on that. You're listening to 360 Info Network right here on AM 1490 WERE. I'm Vince Robinson. Antonio is tied up today, but he will return next week, and we will be right back with more 360 Info Network with Doxy Jelks right here on 360 Info Network.
Hi, I am Frances Caldwell, Executive Director of the African American Museum, welcoming you to join us as we continue to rebuild, grow, develop, and help the community. In addition to the rich historical exhibits we have, we are offering community education, cultural opportunities to enhance our children, including free dance and business classes. The African American Museum celebrates over 60 years as America's oldest independent Black museum. And as our founder, Ichabod Llewellyn, intended, we are heading for higher heights in renewed community education, history, and culture. You can contribute to the success of this valued institution by becoming a member. To make your $35 yearly membership pledge, Cash App $AAMCLE. For more information, please visit our website at aamcle.org or call 216-721-6555. Thank you for your support of Cleveland's African American Museum.
Welcome back to 360 Info Network. I'm Vince Robinson along with Doxy Jelks. She has a brand new show. It's called The American Dream, and she is the host of Selling Cleveland. And you'll be able to find this show on Apple TV and Amazon Amazon and all these other places where television shows are shown. Doxy, let's talk about real estate for a few, and then we're going to get back to your show and how folks can get involved in it. What brought you into the realm of real estate?
When I first bought my first home, the real estate agent, I must have asked a lot of questions. I don't know, but he said, I think you'd be good in real estate. And I'm like, okay. So I'm always one for challenges. So I went ahead, took the test just to see if I could pass. I passed on the first try, and I just put it in my toolkit. I didn't utilize it. And then after having my children, I said, working at the bank, long hours, low pay, I said, I think I'm going to put this real estate license to use. So that's when I started it, and it's been wonderful to me. I was at all of the activities, all of my daughter's and son's games. So it's been very good to me, but that's how I got started.
Okay, so you were working in banking before you immersed yourself in real estate?
Yes, the old Ameritrust. I was out in Chagrin Falls.
Okay, and what did you do at the bank?
Loan applications. I was in charge of the tellers. You open every morning, close every morning. When people come in to you, they want collateral loans, installment loans, car loans. I was a banker.
Okay. All right. Well, you just kind of, I don't want to say touched a nerve, but you opened up a window into another thing that I'm very passionate about, and that is finance and banking. And I know part of your mantra is intergenerational wealth, and I want to make sure that we touch on ways to enhance or increase intergenerational wealth, because there's so little of that now, specifically as it relates to real estate. I know the proverbial, the parents didn't have a will, or they didn't have a living trust or whatever, and then property ends up going into probate, or the children get the home and then they divide it amongst themselves, they sell it, and then that real estate really goes to waste, all the hard work that grandma and grandpa put into acquiring that house, and then everybody walks away from the table with a couple of $1,000s. We don't want that to happen, so let's just jump right into that. What is the importance of real estate as it relates to intergenerational wealth?
It is so important. Let me say this. I get calls at least 2 to 3 times a week from investors in California and other places, and they want to buy here in Cleveland because our home values are so low, and they want to come in, rehab, turn around, make a profit. I kindly tell those people that's not my niche. I'm not the girl for you. I'm not the realtor for you, because that's not what makes me feel warm and fuzzy. I like to help our community save their homes, keep their homes, and buy more homes, not the $1 million real estate investors. So I turn away, all money's not good money, so I turn away the investor money, but that's okay, because I like to focus on what makes me feel good. So I try to help people and tell them, do not sell this house to investors. They're going to sell it to you real low. If you must sell it on the open market. Hire me. I'll sell it, and I'll get you the highest and best price, because they're going to come in and try to get it for dirt cheap, and that's not what you want to do.
Okay, so these investors are basically lowballing and perhaps preying on folks who are desperate to get out of a house note that they can't afford, or whatever the case might be. There is a company, it's called BlackRock, and it is one of the largest companies in the world. It's kind of flying under the radar. A lot of people don't know about it. But what I have heard is that they are purchasing a lot of single-family homes and converting them into rental properties with a very slim profit margin of like maybe 1 or 2%. But because they're such a large company, that 1 or 2% is an extremely meaningful figure to them. Are you aware of this phenomenon?
I know of the phenomenon, not particularly this company. There are a lot of investors that have rentals, and they have raised the rent so high that the person could buy that house for less than what the rent is for the house. So that's what I try to tell people. At least try, call me. Let me see what your credit score is. It doesn't have to be perfect, and I can tell you what to do to help get it up. But if you're sitting here paying $1,200 for rent. You can buy the same house for $700 per month. That just doesn't make sense to me. But people don't know what they don't know. So that's what I'm trying to spread the word about.
All right. Now, there are some scenarios where it might make more sense to rent the home versus buying the home. But on the other hand, in a long-term situation, it makes more sense to buy the home than to rent the home, because after a period of time, you assume ownership of the home. You don't really own the home until the mortgage is paid. So you just basically, and these are my words, I'm sure they don't align with, the real estate principles, but basically you rent a home until you finish purchasing it. And then we have that ugly monster called gentrification that's also taking place, and that's part of the reason that investors are calling from California and scarfing up these properties. Can you talk about perhaps when it might make more sense to rent than to buy?
That's a hard one for me, because renting, you're just paying someone else's mortgage. So that doesn't make sense to me. Buy it yourself, because even if it takes you 30 years to pay it off, say in 5 years if something comes up and you need money and you have equity in your house, you can take money out of your house. So it's like a built-in savings for me, and that's what I try to instill in people. The only time people rent is when, in my opinion, is when you can't afford to buy, if you don't have the credit, because it's not about the money. I can get you grant money, I can get you down payment money. If you have the credit, you don't have to worry about anything. I can get you in that house. It's when you don't have the credit, and that's what a lot of people in our community, they don't realize the importance. You got to pay on time. Don't say, well, I'll skip this month, double up the payments the next month. No, worst thing you could do. But that financial literacy piece, a lot of people have not had that. And so that's what we're trying to, inform them about.
Okay. And what kinds of things can they do to enhance their credit score?
Paying on time. If you're going to be late, don't let it be past 30 days late, because that's when they start reporting you to the credit bureau. Don't have your credit cards maxed to the limit. If you have $1,000 credit limit, don't have $999 balance on that account. Try to keep it below 30%, because that's a negative on you as well. Don't have a lot of people running credit inquiries. When you're going out shopping this holiday season, everybody is going to say, if you sign up for this credit card, I'll get you 10% off, blah, blah, blah. Say no, it's not worth the 10%, because all of that interest you're going to accumulate for this $50 item you purchased and whatever. It's not worth it. So just say no to the credit card, no for the discount. And don't let people run your credit, because all those inquiries, they reduce your credit score.
Okay. And you can also affect your credit score negatively if you pay all of your cards off.
Yes, if you want to pay them, I say pay down. Leave like $100 on there so they can still see that you're paying every month on time. But the worst thing to do is, you think you're doing good, you close them. That's the worst thing, because then all of those years, the history you have on that card is gone. Do not close the credit card. Do not.
Okay. Sage advice for those of you who are out there in the market for a new home, or a home that is new to you. May not necessarily be a brand new home, but it'll be new to you. Can you talk to us about what the state of the real estate market is right now with respect to residential properties?
It's still a seller's market, but it's getting better. Homes are staying on the market a little longer. They're not being sold within the same hour that they're put on the market. So that's good for buyers. I am able now to get buyers with FHA financing and get seller credit towards closing costs now, where this summer I was not able to do that because everyone was coming in paying cash for homes. And I know what they did. Their parents gave them cash, and they probably turned around and refinanced the home and paid their parents back. But we don't have the ability to do that in our community. We don't have people with, thousands of dollars in the bank that can loan it to us to pay cash. So that was hurting our community. And a lot of the buyers, they were so disappointed they dropped out of the market. And I'm trying to encourage them to come back now, because it is better now. It's still a seller's market, but it's better than it was before.
Okay. So the Federal Reserve Bank has been increasing interest rates steadily over the past year or so. It's like every month or whatever the intervals are. It's like another 0.75, another 75 basis points. What is the impact of all of these increases in the interest rates?
Well, it really hurts. 'Cause back in the summer, you had 3, 4, 5%. Now we're up to like 7%. So that people think, oh, it's just 5 to 7, no big deal. But that could be a difference of $200 in your payment. That's a big deal to me. So what I've been telling people is just because it's gone up, though, that doesn't mean you're going to sit back and say, oh, I'll wait till it goes down. No, it's not going down anytime soon. But go ahead and buy the house. And then if it does go back down, though, when it does, then you can just refinance. But holding off, waiting for the rates to go down, that's not a good strategy at all.
Okay. And talk to us about refinancing, because, sometimes people run into financial hardships and, the interest rate might go down, or they might be able to get a better interest rate than the one that they have. But talk to us about when to refinance and perhaps why refinancing might not be a good idea.
It depends on what interest rate you have currently. And a good rule of thumb is if it's 2% or more, lower the interest rate, go for it. Because when you refinance, you're going to have to pay closing, title fees and all kind of bank fees and everything, and they can finance that in there. But if you can get your payment at least 2% lower than what you're paying now, it's worth it all the time. And they base it on the equity in your home, too. Most of the time, they'll say you have to have at least 80% equity in your home. So, like, if you owe $100,000 and you're trying to get money from it, and your house is only worth $100,000, then you have no equity. But if you owe $100,000, the house is worth $150,000, so you're sitting there with $50,000 equity. So you can either take that money out, or, like I said, if you want to refinance, if you bought it at $150,000 and now you paid it down to $100,000, or refinance it at the $100,000 and get the lower interest rate, and then you'll be good to go. People do that all the time. It's not a one-time refinance. You can do it as often as you want.
One of the concerns that I have about refinancing, and I'm by no means a real estate expert. I'm really kind of in the dark about a lot of things related to real estate. But when you refinance, doesn't that extend the term of the mortgage?
Well, you can let it be the same, or you can refinance with a lower term. So if you started out with a 30-year, you can refinance and say, well, I want a 10-year, or I want a 15-year. Because say if you're paying $1,200 a month on your mortgage, and you refinance, and you can cut it down and pay that same $1,200, but shorten the period of time to get it paid off, then that's a no-brainer.
Okay, so you can be creative in terms of the way that you refinance. Now, what I did when I purchased my home is I took out a 30-year mortgage, but I paid it off early. Can you talk about ways that you can actually reduce your exposure to a high mortgage over a period of time?
Yes, most people do start off with a 30-year because your payments are lower. And normally when you're going into a house for the first time, you're trying to get your payments as low as possible until you get comfortable with the house and everything that goes along with it. But when you can always just pay, like, even paying one payment extra per year will cut the terms down on your mortgage. So say if people are giving you a lot of money around Christmas time, say for gifts or whatever, you can take that money, make an additional payment on your mortgage, have it go to the principal, and that will cut down the time as well. Some people are even doing bi-weekly payments now, trying to cut down on the mortgage.
Okay, so instead of paying once a month, you pay twice a month, and you put extra towards the principal in that process,
Exactly.
And you pay it down earlier. Okay.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely a strategy that you want to employ, but right now we're dealing with this ugly thing called inflation. And you mentioned how rents are rising, and rents are part of what they use to calculate inflation. So I know that it's probably a challenge to some people to pay that extra. because I'm kind of tied into financial literacy and whatnot, I know that 60% of America has $1,000 or less in savings. So it might be difficult for some, perhaps not others. And at the same time, we also have unemployment on the rise. But we have this whole notion that there are other places to obtain money if you're not working, and that other place is the internet. There's so many ways online in this digital economy that we're living in that you can generate extra income. That perhaps that's a topic for another day, and I certainly hope to get there. But there are some strategies that you can use in terms of real estate, because real estate is one of the ways that people actually build wealth. You know, when you look at the successful folk in this world, many of them are heavily involved in real estate. Can you talk about some of the ways that you can use and leverage real estate to create and build wealth?
Well, like I tell a lot of the millennials, they don't want to be buying homes. They don't want the upkeep. And I tell them, you could buy a home, and if you don't want to live there, you can rent it out and get a property manager, you know, so you still don't have to. You can live downtown in the penthouse if that's what you want. But why don't you buy a little bungalow out in the suburbs, rent it out so you can have something, you know? So that's what I try to tell them. Also, they can live rent-free. You don't have to buy a single family. You can buy a two-family. Live in one unit, and then the other unit is paying your mortgage, so you're rent-free. So it's things like that that people need to realize, you know.
Okay. And then I also hear about folks flipping houses. Can you describe that phenomenon?
Yeah, it's not as easy as it seems on HGTV, though. It doesn't, you know, in 2 days you'll have the house done. There is a shortage of contractors and dependable people to do the work. So if you don't have a good resource, a good group of people to do your rehab, then you're sitting here paying on this mortgage every month until the house gets, you know, completed so you can turn it over. And a lot of people, that's what they run into, because you go into it thinking, oh, I only need to paint and carpet. You go in there and you're going to have to maybe do electrical. You find other stuff wrong with it, plumbing. So it's not as easy as what one thinks. But, you know, rehabbing is good. It's hard to find the properties now, because that's what these investors are having a hard time finding them too. You used to could buy a house for $10,000, $20,000 in Cleveland, fix it up, sell it for $100,000. But those $10,000, $20,000 homes are now like $60,000, $70,000 homes now, because they've gone up in price too. So it's finding that investment property to flip. That's what's hard now.
Yes, and some of them are vacant homes as well.
Oh, yeah, quite a few.
Yes. Okay. So, you know, when you encounter that vacant home, the longer it sits, the more it deteriorates and the more work you have to put in it. I'm just wondering, in cases where that home has been vacant for a while and it's gone into the foreclosure and the bank is owning it, and you may know or may not know, but what kinds of things are banks doing to unload those properties?
Believe it or not, you don't have a lot of bank foreclosure lists floating around like you did before. Before, you could call the bank, say what's on your foreclosure list, you'll get a list of properties, but they're not there anymore, because I guess it's because all of these people are coming in from out of state, buying them up, turning around, fixing them, you know, reselling them. They're just not there.
Okay. Just curious, just based on you moving around, are you seeing more properties of that nature on the east side or the west side? Do you see any kind of differences in terms of the real estate market on both sides of town?
Well, I can tell you the west side, the property values tend to be higher for whatever reason. We won't get into that, but they seem to be higher for that same bungalow on the west side compared to the east side. But I think you do have more vacant properties on the east side. Yeah, you do.
Yeah, okay. Well, I guess you're confirming what I've been told about that. And, you know, again, there could be various and sundry reasons why that is. But I just happen to notice that there's a lot of development of residential property. I was on the west side, West 25th Street, and there's this area called Hingetown. And there's this high-rise apartment building. It's probably like 10 stories or so, and there's retail on the first floor of it, and it's just like, it's a whole different world. I mean, if you looked around, you would say, what, this is Cleveland? You know, it's just amazing how this city could have two separate sides. And so that brings us back to your television show. I'm just wondering what impact you can have on the perception of our city and the different kinds of stories that can be told, and how we can glorify or perhaps enhance the perception of Cleveland's East Side.
That's what I'm trying to do, yes. So whenever I can find something that the nation will be interested in, something that's good going on, development over here, you know, that's what I'm all about. So that's why I need all of your listeners to contact me and let me know what's going on, because I'm in real estate and I travel all around, but I don't know everything. So you might know of something that I'm not aware of. So just contact me so I can let the world know about it.
Yes. Well, I'll tell you, I had my eye on some properties over on East Boulevard. There are homes over there that are $500,000 homes. I mean, just mansions. They compare to some of the homes that you might find in Bracknell. And I find it really interesting, this disparity between the two cities. You have Bracknell, and it's a village, it's not a city, but you have Bracknell that's right there on the edge of the lake. So you got these wealthy folks who have homes that are right, the Lake Erie is their backyard, putting it simply. And then you can travel literally less than a minute on the other side of the freeway, and you can find homes that are in exactly the opposite shape. You know, if you look on one side of the freeway, you see a sound barrier. When you look at the other side of the freeway, there's a chain link fence that does nothing to prevent the sound from going into our neighborhoods. I just happen to live in this area. I live off 105th Street, just a stone's throw from the freeway. And I can tell you, at 2 o'clock in the morning, I hear the traffic on I-90 like it was a street away. So it's just interesting to see the differences in those two places. But at the same time, you know, you do see some of the older architecture here. You know, those old homes, they have good bones, they say. They say that they have character. They have real materials in them. You know, there was a time in Cleveland where there was a housing construction boom. I mean, I live in a house that was built exactly 30 years ago. But they're saying that some of these newer homes, the materials aren't as good quality as some of the other homes. As a matter of fact, I saw something a few weeks ago that they said, don't buy a home that was built between this year and that year because the construction materials were just so bad. But on the other hand, you have all these magnificent homes, and sometimes it just breaks my heart to see that bulldozer knocking that house down, you know, when there was just so much in that house. And I would trade this house for one of those houses any day.
I agree with you. I agree.
Yes. So talk to us about some of the types of homes that you have been able to sell. You know, I see your posts on Facebook from time to time, and I remember a few years back where you had a home that you were selling, and there was a piano in it, and I was going to come and play that piano for you.
Right.
But talk about some of the homes that you have been able to sell folks.
Well, I've been selling east and west side. You know, a lot of people are going on the west side because they want newer construction. So if that's what they want, that's where they go. So I've been doing a lot more in Strongsville lately. Near west side, I do a lot as well. Really, I'm North Ridgeville, where my client is building a new home there. So that seems to be the popular place now. So a lot of people, when they come from out of town, especially from like Atlanta, they're used to newer construction, and they get here. We have a lot of old houses, but they want new. So we have to either find builders or either take them to an area where there is that new construction. So, I do it all, sell it all. Whatever you want, I can find for you. Just a personal taste.
Yeah.
A guy, Deshaun Watson, ended up in Hunting Valley. He wasn't my client, unfortunately, but he ended up in Hunting Valley. And most of the athletes, normally they go to Westlake and on the west side, but he stayed on the east side with Hunting Valley. So,
yeah, I saw that house. I don't know what one or two people could do with all of that.
I know. And looking at it, I'm like, this doesn't seem like a single person's house. I mean, but whatever. It's an investment for him. Just investment.
Yeah. So that's a really interesting dichotomy, Doxy. You're talking about the newer construction being on the west side and then the older construction being on the east side. So I know that there are some of our suburbs, Hunting Valley, what else? Moreland Hills, Gates Mills, and I've been out in those areas from time to time and observed some of those properties. I don't know if you know this about me, but I used to work for a very prominent insurance company in property and casualty insurance. So it was my job to go in and out of people's homes. So I saw some of it all. I mean, the company that I worked for actually insured LeBron James's house. So, we got to see a lot, but it's just interesting to hear this difference in terms of the types of homes that you find on one side versus the other side. And you just told us about how the athletes and some of the entertainers opt to do the west side versus the east side. Very interesting indeed. And I'm looking forward to seeing what you come up with. Do you have folks working with you in terms of producers and whatnot to give you ideas?
Ideas regarding what, the show or?
Yeah, the content, what you're going to do with the show.
No, that's why I need ideas. They really leave it up to me to bring them ideas.
Okay.
So that's why I need all the assistance I can, because I know there's some fantastic stuff going on in our community that I'm sure that I just don't know about, and I want other people to learn about it as well.
Okay. All right. Well, we're going to talk a bit more about this great show that you are about to embark on. Have you taped any segments yet, or you're going to do that next
week? I did tape the first segment. Yes, it will be airing in December. So I'll probably know in the next week when it will air, time, station, and everything, so I can let everybody know. Yes.
Okay. Well,
I'm looking for my second segment now.
Okay.
Yeah, so I need.
All right. So you heard that, folks out there listening. You might want to get involved with it. It is the American Dream. Doxy Jokes. She is going to be selling Cleveland, and we're going to talk more about that. And we're also going to talk about some other things that are going on in the life of Doxy Jokes. When we get back, you're listening to 360 Info Network right here on AM 1490 WERE. I'm Vince Robinson. We'll be right back.
Hi, I am Frances Caldwell, Executive Director of the African American Museum, welcoming you to join us as we continue to rebuild, grow, develop, and help the community. In addition to the rich historical exhibits we have, we are offering community education, cultural opportunities to enhance our children, including free dance and business classes. The African American Museum celebrates over 60 years as America's oldest independent Black museum. And as our founder, Ichabod Llewellyn, intended, we are heading for higher heights and renewed community education, history, and culture. You can contribute to the success of this valued institution by becoming a member. To make your $35 yearly membership pledge, Cash App $AAMCLE. For more information, please visit our website at aamcle.org or call 216-721-6555. Thank you for your support of Cleveland's African American Museum.
360 Info Network with Vince Robinson. Hamtonio is off today, and we are speaking with Doxy Jokes. She is a real estate agent, and she's working with a company called Keller Williams, correct?
Keller Williams, yes.
All right, and you out there selling homes. I look at some of those homes and think, wow, I'd like to have that. But, I got one that's already paid for with no note. I'm just paying property taxes, which is a great thing. It's a great place to be in life. But you are in the business of selling homes. So folks who are interested in buying homes, what is it that you can offer them that perhaps they might not get in other places that they go?
Well, since I've been doing this for 42 years, I have a lot of experience and certifications and educational background for this because, like I tell people, all realtors are not alike. For example, everyone can say, well, can you run to the mailbox? Yes, I can run to the mailbox, but can you run in the Olympics? Completely different thing. No, you can't. So all realtors are not alike. So it's good to find one that has the experience and the knowledge and to help you with different programs maybe. A lot of realtors don't bother to learn what type of programs are available for the clients that need assistance. Some clients don't need assistance. They have the money, but the ones that do, it's nice working with a realtor that has that information and knowledge and that can help you throughout the process. Because not everyone does that.
Okay. And what kinds of things should people be looking for when they think about purchasing a home?
Well, they should consider their lifestyle, how far they want to be from their job. A lot of people work from home now, so that might not be an issue. But with the price of gas, some people want to be close to their job or close to what school will your child go to. That's an important thing, too. Are your children in private school and it doesn't matter? Or are you in love with this school and you want to stay in this district? The first thing I tell people to do is contact the realtor and let that realtor help you get pre-approved. Because once you find out how much you can buy dollar-wise, that will determine what areas you need to look in. And then we can narrow it down to the type of home. You want a ranch, you want a colonial, you want newer, older, but everything starts with that pre-approval. And all pre-approvals are not alike. You can go to a bank. Some people say, well, I'm going to go to the bank where I have my checking and savings. That doesn't mean you're going to get a better interest rate. I hate to tell you. So you need to start off with your realtor who can direct you to places where you could probably get a better interest rate and a loan for what you need.
Okay, and flashing back to the housing crisis that we had in 2008 and 2009, I know that there were a lot of mortgages that people took out that probably weren't a good idea. Is there any type of formula that you can share with folks to determine what might be affordable versus what might not be affordable, and what type of mortgages should they be looking to obtain that would be optimal for them?
Well, since interest rates are so low now, I definitely do not suggest getting an adjustable rate mortgage. You might as well go ahead and lock in these rates, because even though they've gone up, when I first started in real estate, they were at 16%. So that's a high interest rate. So 7% is really not high. So go ahead and lock it in. And if rates go down, you can always refinance.
So you say 7% is not that high?
Not compared to 16% when I first started in the business.
Wow.
And people were still buying homes. They were still buying. Mm-hmm.
16%?
Oh, yeah, back in the 80s, yeah, 16%. Yes. And people were standing around the corner trying to get the OPA money for 11% that came out one summer, camping out overnight and everything. But, yeah, so like people always say, you marry the house and you date the rate. If you find a house that you like, marry it. Buy the house. When the rates come down, then you can always refinance. So.
Okay. So what about areas where homes are more affordable? Are there areas of the west or the east side that you see where you have, really affordable homes, and, you're familiar with neighborhoods, and you could say to a client, this is a good area to live in versus another?
Well, that's going a fine line to steering. So we as agents have to be careful of that. So that's why I always start out with getting your pre-approval and see what you can afford, what they will loan you, and then I can show you different suburbs or areas that have homes in this price range and let you pick, you know? So we have to be careful about, you know,
I got you.
scaring people. Yeah.
I got you. It's just always a good thing for folks to know, you know, where they can find value in the housing market. And I guess that goes along with doing your homework. And I know, you know, we hear the spots on this radio station all the time about, you know, how it's illegal to, you know, steer folks away from certain rental properties and so forth and so on, because there's a lot of discrimination that goes on. And then, you know, we have the whole redlining piece that we've dealt with for so long. I mean, when you look at the history of real estate in America and you see the way we've been on the short end of the stick so many times, you know, you had what happened after World War II, and they were giving all those benefits to soldiers who were coming back from Europe, but they just happened to be soldiers who weren't of color. So, you know, with all of the government programs that they had, they were just literally giving properties away to some folks, but they weren't giving those properties away to us. You know, tragic, but that's the history of America. You see what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. So, yeah, a lot of things going on in real estate right now. We hope that you are looking in terms of purchasing a property. Now could be a good time to buy. You said that it's still a seller's market. What constitutes a buyer's market?
When you have more homes on the market than you have buyers. Currently, we have more buyers than we have home inventory available. So that's why it's a seller's market.
Okay.
So if you get a whole lot of homes on the market and few buyers, then it's a buyer's market.
Okay. And what do you think? Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying we have a ton of people who want to buy now, but the inventory is just not there. People are holding on to their houses for whatever reason. Either they can't afford to sell because where are they going to go? Because then they'll be priced out of the market as well, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So that hurts us.
Okay. So I'm just kind of wondering what it would take for that paradigm shift to occur, for it to become a buyer's market, to go to a buyer's market versus a seller's market right here. Are there certain economic indicators or certain things that would happen in the economy that would cause that paradigm shift to happen?
It's all about the inventory. If more people decide, a lot of people didn't want to sell as well because they were concerned whether or not they would have a job, you know, so the economy, you know, plays a big part of this. So if they sell their house and they can't afford to go buy a house, it makes a difference. But when people feel more comfortable about their situation, their job, their money's coming in, and then they're ready to say, okay, I can get a loan. Let me go ahead and sell this house and move up. Some people want to move down, but they can't because they're stuck. So as soon as they can feel comfortable about that, then that's when things will start moving.
Okay. Well, Doxy, this has been great information. I mean, I've learned a lot in the hour that we spent together, and I want to thank you for this education.
Oh, you're so welcome.
And looking forward to this show. You know, I don't really watch television, but I'll have to make an exception just to see my friend on TV doing what she does to make Cleveland look good. I would be remiss if I didn't share with the audience the fact that you have a daughter that is an NBA referee. She's one of the very few in the sport. And, you know, I look up on Facebook and you in this arena and that arena, you and Roy sitting courtside watching your daughter do her thing. How is that for you?
It's nice. The life of an NBA referee, I found out, is not as glamorous as it seems because she basically lives out of a suitcase. She might be home 2 to 3 nights per month in her own bed. So it's not that glamorous, but it's exciting for us to see and go to the games and, you know, and hear all the comments about the refs. Yeah. We have to close our ears, you know.
Yeah. Well, you know, there's always going to be somebody that's upset with the call either way. So I'm sure she's gotten used to that. All
thick skin. Yes.
Yes. All right, well, Doxy Jelks, she is the host of the American Dream Selling Cleveland. It's going to be airing on a lot of different outlets, so stay tuned. I'm sure that if you go to her Facebook page, you'll get all the details on the when and where, and she wants you to help her with ideas for content for this show. So please feel free to reach out to her and spread the word that your friend Doxy is on television. Congratulations to you and much success to you with the new show.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
All right, and one more time, tell them how they can reach you.
I'm on Instagram at Doxy Jelks Real Estate. That's DOXIEJELKS. And on Facebook, Doxy Jelks Real Estate. My phone number is 216-470-3492. And my email is doxyjelks@kw.com.
All right, Doxy Jelks. Thanks again for being on 360 Info Network.
Thank you.
All right. All right, so again, we have a photo session at Larchmere Arts this evening at 5 o'clock, somewhere thereabouts. Come on through, get your photo taken, get your spot in the Black Local Artists of Cleveland Kuumba directory. We published a directory 3 years ago in 2019, and we're looking to do another one. This is going to be an upscale version of the previous edition because this is going to be a hardcover. So if you identify as an artist in Cleveland, and it doesn't matter whether you're a performing artist, whether you're a visual artist, if you are an author, anything basically having to do with art, please come on through.